boxing legends share their predictions for the Jake Paul vs. Anthony Joshua fight. Usyk explains that this battle will end inside one round because he has already faced Joshua twice and fully understands the force Joshua carries. Usyk believes this event is driven mainly by money and that nothing here brings real value to the sport. He feels Joshua needs only one clean moment to reveal the massive difference in power. For Usyk, this is not a competitive matchup, but a swift conclusion, and he sees Jake stepping into a situation far beyond his experience.
Some people complaining about AJ taking that fight. Obviously, it's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Do you see something wrong with AJ taking that fight?
This is just a lot of money, just a show.
Right.
This is not interesting sport because, guys, brothers, Anthony is Olympic champion.
Right.
Jake, it's just sportsman. Yeah, YouTuber. Jake do a lot of work. Special coach, special food, a lot of exercise, new.
Yes.
But this is guy don't have a mother fights.
Right.
Never
Right.
a mother fights. Maybe them wrestling now professional, but Joshua, Anthony Joshua, it's Olympic champion.
So how long does that fight last?
Listen, my opinion, it's one round because Anthony twice, my fight twice, jab.
Very hard.
Yeah, look. You know, this is
And still from his
this
fight.
is jab.
Fury takes a completely different stance, offering one of the boldest predictions in the entire conversation. Fury declares that Jake Paul will knock out Joshua, a statement that shocks many because it contradicts most expert opinions. Fury argues that Jake is physically growing, training with heavier weights, and transforming into a more complete fighter. He sees Jake's progression as remarkable and believes that momentum can sometimes outweigh experience. Fury has always enjoyed making unexpected statements, but in this case, he insists that Jake's confidence and rising form could lead to an outcome almost no one expects. He views Jake not as a simple internet personality, but as a fighter who has committed himself to serious preparation. Fury's prediction remains controversial, yet it adds a new layer to the discussion, coming from someone who understands heavyweight boxing better than almost anyone alive.
Some talk about possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's a spent force, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. And I like his new heavyweight look.
Teddy Atlas approaches the matchup from a strategic perspective rather than excitement or fan pressure. He acknowledges the tremendous strength Joshua brings but also points out that Jake Paul is not entering this fight unprepared. Atlas notes that Jake has youth on his side, and younger athletes often recover faster, move with greater confidence, and take risks older fighters avoid. He also highlights Jake's improved footwork, which could allow him to move in ways that might unsettle Joshua if he underestimates the angles. According to Atlas, every fight has two sides, and this one is no different. Joshua has size, technical history, and championship experience, but Jake carries certain tools that cannot be ignored. Extending his analysis, Atlas dives deeper into how Jake's mindset might benefit him. Jake is still early in his career, fighting with hunger and without the mental exhaustion many veterans face. Atlas acknowledges that Joshua performs best when he controls distance. But Jake's quicker feet and willingness to jump into exchanges could create small opportunities. Those openings may be small, but they exist. And Atlas believes that this possibility alone means Jake cannot be dismissed entirely. His message is not that Jake will win, but that Jake has enough advantages to be taken seriously.
While we look at all the advantages that Joshua has, let's look at how I look at where maybe Paul has some advantages. He's younger. His feet are a little faster. I know he's not at that level of a fighter, I get it. But his feet are faster. Joshua's feet are not that fast, closing gaps, getting to somebody. To hit him, even if you're better than him, you still got to get to him to hit him. Also, Joshua, last time he fought was over a year. He hasn't fought. He was basically retired. Where's his mind at? He got knocked out terribly by Dubois. Where's his confidence? Where's his mindset? Where is he? Is he taking this fight the way that fans are, overlooking Paul, taking him for granted? Yeah, it probably is. Might be. Does that weigh in? Yeah, that weighs in. People don't look at those parts of it. And the weight. Paul's smart. He always puts clauses in there. I know this is the first time he's fighting a guy who's bigger than him and all that stuff, but he put in a 245-pound weight, clause where he can't come in over 245. What is Joshua weighing? He was off over a year. He was basically retired. Was he 280? Was he 290? Was he 275? Easily could be the case. He didn't have a lot of time now to get to 245. How does that affect him? Oh, we forgot about that. It's a little thing, but it's not that little. It's a thing that Paul put there for a reason. Again, Paul hasn't made too many mistakes. He's been pretty damn smart. I'm not saying he's the fighter that Joshua is, but I don't know if Joshua's the fighter that Joshua.
Lamont Roach speaks with a tone reflecting both respect for the sport and concern for what could happen if Anthony Joshua enters the fight with full intent. He does not see this matchup as balanced because Joshua's natural strength and technical experience create a level of danger Jake has never faced. Roach explains that Joshua does not need to unleash full combinations for the outcome to be severe. A single committed strike from Joshua could change everything instantly, especially considering the difference in size and professional background. He stresses that heavyweight power like Joshua's is not something an influencer-turned fighter can absorb safely, and the gap between their physical levels could place Jake in real danger.
Excuse me. My first thoughts was this guy's crazy. Not gonna lie. But I get it. Coming from a guy who's not a true traditional boxer, and to be able to have a position where he can fight a former unified world champion, former Olympic gold medalist, and to do it on such a stage where Anthony Joshua was a superstar as well. I mean, like, he sold out the O2, twice. Absolutely. I think. So, I think Jake is setting himself up for, a huge spectacle, and which is, kind of smart. If you're going to go big, why not go to the highest of the mountain? Why not? And I get it. That's what you call business right there. And I seen a lot of guys calling them out, from like Gabe to, other guys who are boxers. Yeah, like guys who actually beat them. But why would he settle for those guys when he could fight Anthony Joshua? So I think that's, smart. I think that's super smart.
Smart is one thing. What do you think happens in the ring, though, champ?
I think he gets hurt, for sure. I think he gets obliterated. Something close to like Francis Ngannou. I think something like that happens, and it's going to be bad for him. But there will be a lot of.
Andrew Tate keeps his message direct as he reacts to the matchup. He states that Jake has stepped into an enormous moment and deserves respect for doing so. Tate appreciates the level of risk Jake is taking and acknowledges that most people would never enter a ring with someone as powerful and experienced as Joshua. For Tate, the result is secondary. What matters is that Jake is challenging himself against the best and showing a level of ambition few fighters, influencer or not, would ever dare to show. Tate's reaction highlights courage rather than prediction, and he believes Jake's decision alone earns him admiration.
Just a couple more things before I let you go. Jake Paul vs. Anthony Joshua, your thoughts on this fight, and Mega One?
Yeah, huge respect to Jake. I mean, we all know what should happen on paper, but it's boxing. So huge respect to Jake. I have nothing but...
Sean Ali, a professional mixed martial artist and bantamweight in the UFC, speaks ahead of the December 19th main event in South Florida. Ali expresses real concern for his friend Jake Paul. Speaking on the Bro Ali Show, he admits that facing Anthony Joshua is terrifying. Ali stresses that being knocked out by a fighter of Joshua's caliber can have life-altering consequences, not just career setbacks. He calls Jake's willingness to step into the ring against such a powerful heavyweight absolutely insane, emphasizing the real danger and risk surrounding the fight.
O'Malley is scared for Jake Paul. All right, great. You know what? Thank you, Sean. And now that's now my phrase. I'm going to steal that from you from this moment. I'm going to use it going forward because I didn't know how to describe my feeling about this fight, but I just got it. I'm glad I thought of it right after I read Sean O'Malley said it. Sean went on to say, there's certain punches, there's certain knockouts, there's certain concussions, there's certain ass whippings, there's certain beatings that are not equal to others. They're the kind of knockouts, of punches, of concussions, of ass whippings, and of beatings that change your life. They change lives. And O'Malley didn't elaborate on what that meant. But I know what he meant. I know what he meant. There is a confidence that a person has. From the guy that walks down the street, the most confident, he walks in the room and he's the man and he gets to live his life feeling that way and people will treat him that way. All the way down to the coward who walks his wife like he's weak, who handles everything sheepishly. But one thing those two guys have in common is that neither of them actually knows where they stand. Neither of them has actually tested that theory. They got all the rest of society to go along with it. Therefore, they don't have to test it.
Sonnen gives a more structured explanation of why he believes the matchup is overwhelmingly stacked in Joshua's favor. He lists size, power, height, weight, reach, and years of professional experience as the dominant advantages Joshua holds. Sonnen states that Jake has improved a lot, but there is no comparison between Jake's opponents so far and the level Joshua has faced throughout his career. He emphasizes that everything in this fight, from physical attributes to mental preparation, tilts toward Joshua. Sonnen's analysis removes emotion completely and focuses on raw facts, showing the extreme imbalance between both fighters.
The Francis Ngannou performance. What if Jake makes it 5 rounds, 6 rounds? What if Jake made it to the distance? What if Jake won a round? Now, it's very hard to believe. It's very hard to imagine. I think it's the big struggle with this fight. I cannot, off the top of my head, produce a fight for you in any form of unarmed combat that drew, that was exciting, where the audience did not have a reasonable expectation, an expectation to some degree that, well, if he does this or that, there is a way for this guy to win. And that's usually pretty easy to do because nobody knows anything about fighting. Nobody watching this right now, none of you, my millions of viewers, not one of you has ever boxed. Not one of you knows someone in the family. Well, my dad was a boxer. My uncle was a boxer. No, you don't. Not only are you not a boxer, you don't even know of a boxer. Now, I only share that because when I come out and say nobody knows what they're talking about when they're talking about boxing, like, it's not meant to be an insult. You don't know anything about boxing. It was never taught to you. None of you in recess boxed. None of your junior highs, your high schools, your colleges, your community colleges offered boxing. Your hometown didn't have a boxing gym. Now really think about that. Because as much as you love the sport and as much as you think that you understand it, not only do you not understand it, you can't even have a conversation with other people who do because they don't understand it. So what is a win? I think that time counts. I think that time is a very big deal. You're in that little bitty ring, and I know a guy can run backwards, but running backwards is not illegal in boxing. It isn't.
Chris Algieri approaches the matchup with a methodical mindset rooted in understanding how Joshua typically performs. He explains that Joshua has a history of fighting according to the threat level he senses. When the opponent is dangerous, Joshua stays disciplined. When the opponent is less experienced or physically smaller, Joshua delivers the dominant performance fans expect. Algieri believes this pattern applies strongly to Jake Paul. In his view, Joshua will not take unnecessary risks, but when he decides to press forward, he normally finishes the job with power and precision. Algieri stresses that fans should not be confused. Joshua has always responded appropriately to mismatches, and he expects that trend to continue. As he continues, he notes that this consistency makes Joshua predictable in the best possible way.
His reputation as an elite heavyweight. Do you understand the analogy I'm getting to, Chris?
Yeah, and I agree. And but listen, Joshua's done this already. He fought a guy that he was supposed to destroy, right? And then he went out there and he destroyed him. And he didn't play with his food. Yep. He didn't say, okay, it was Ngannou I'm talking about, obviously. Of course. Who gave Tyson Fury fits and really had everyone questioning Tyson Fury's ability because he struggled with an MMA fighter in his pro boxing debut. Anthony Joshua didn't do that. He went out there and did what we all expected Tyson Fury to do and completely wiped the floor with the guy. And if Joshua doesn't do that this fight, I agree with you, Jimmy. It's going to hurt his stock. It's going to hurt the way that people perceive him moving forward. And also, I think, honestly, and if he doesn't go out there and just lay into Jake Paul and end it in the first, if not second round, to me, it's gonna look fishy to me. It's gonna look like this was a setup. This was an exhibition. This wasn't a real fight. If this is a real fight, it should be over in 90 seconds because Anthony Joshua is a legit gold medalist, super heavyweight, crazy athlete, awesome power, and Jake Paul just isn't on that level in any way. And he's not in end. He's undersized. You know, Jake Paul was fighting a cruiserweight in his last fight. He was under 200 pounds. You know, Joshua is a legit 250 pounds with abs, and the guy punches with the right hand like a cannon.
The one advantage Jake Paul has had in previous fights, and we all know people who have worked with him, and they go, he's got natural power. He can hit pretty well for his size. Not elite, right? Not world champion, but he can hit pretty well for his size. Paulie, that one advantage that he's had in previous fights is complete.
Dave Allen takes a grounded, practical angle rather than hype or emotion. He looks directly at Jake Paul's fight history. Allen explains that Jake has often faced opponents who did not pressure him with true heavyweight power or volume. This allowed Jake to fight calmly, control distance, and manage exchanges without being pushed into chaos. Allen warns that Joshua will not allow Jake the same controlled environment. If Joshua attacks with even half the intensity he uses against genuine heavyweight rivals, the fight could look entirely different from anything Jake has experienced.
But he could have beat Tommy. Could he win the area lightweight title? I'm not sure. Don't know who the champion is. If I had a look, I could tell you, but I'm not sure. He then boxes Nate Diaz. So he's boxed one boxer so far, if we keep in count, and he's beat none. Then he boxes Andre August, who I believe was a pro, and this is now at 14-3, so he's now actually a cruiserweight. Andre August, I'm not sure. Ryan Borland, 17-2. Again, I'm not sure. But fair play, he's beat two boxers here. Beat two boxers, what can I say? He then fights Mike Perry, who is an MMA fighter, bare knuckle boxer. He's not a good boxer. He then fights Mike Tyson, which was an exhibition.
Barry McGuigan offers one of the strongest reactions in the entire debate. He believes the fight carries a level of danger many fans, especially younger ones, do not truly understand. Having spent decades around world-class punchers, McGuigan knows how drastically a fight can change when a real heavyweight lands clean. He stresses that imagining Jake Paul standing across from Joshua should make any seasoned boxing observer uneasy. McGuigan's comments are not meant to insult Jake, but to emphasize the raw physics involved in the sport. For him, this matchup highlights a risk that goes far beyond spectacle and reminds everyone that boxing remains a brutally unforgiving discipline when two fighters with completely different levels of power share the ring.
Some people are saying, you know, AJ's grabbing the bag. There's nothing wrong with that because anybody else, if they got offered that kind of money, they would do it. So, yep. And some people are suggesting he might damage his legacy. Where do you sit with the decision of him taking that fight? And it's a professional 8-round fight as well.
Yes, it's a highly dangerous fight for Jake Paul. I don't know what he's doing unless they have done some sort of caveat or some sort of agreement that he says, he's going to go easy on him, or he's not going to go flat out. But I've been tossing this up and down in my mind and trying to figure how and under God, when he had agreed to fight someone like Tank Davis, who is several divisions below him, that's more like